Hey, hello everyone. How's it all going? We're back. uh, so how's everyone's week been? I've got up to speed. Currently updating the laptop there to Windows 11. So let's get on to the chat. And there's Mark. Thank you, Mark. Before I go any further, I have to thank Mark because he this week sent me the power mod for my Terminator. And yeah, so thank you so much for sending me that. I'm absolutely over the moon with that. It hasn't actually been off since I installed it, which took about 2 or 3 minutes actually. It hasn't been turned off. It's been on left on all day near enough. So I have to thank you so much for sending me that. Yeah, very, very much appreciated. Thank you for that. Holix, how's it going? Down there, I've just skipped a load. Sorry about that. And Jay, how's it all going? The flat's coming on really, really nicely now. And now you've got some a PlayStation 3. You can get on with playing some games. So yeah, all good. Hi D, how's it going? I'm just trying to see now. Dano, how's it going? DS models. Family's okay, thank you very much. Hope yours is too. And evening, John. How's it all going? So there's a few things I want to discuss. So we should really get on with it. So I have. If you haven't seen, I've got my back issues for my Dodge Charger. So I've now filmed up to issue 31. Issue 32 comes out this week. So I'm all done and dusted. It is here. So I can show you. So it is here. It's getting big now. It's nice. The engine's on, basing and everything else. So it's a bit dark in here. Give me 1 second. There we go. And then there was light. Yeah. So that came. So my news agents came through very well. My wife kept telling me just to sort of don't rush into it. I've not rushed into it before. Normally my newsagent guy is top notch, but I also found out some interesting information. So he orders from our wholesaler is WH Smith News. So basically when your newsagent puts in a back order, it goes onto their system and stays on their system until fulfilled, but actually only stays on their system for 8 weeks. After 8 weeks, it gets removed automatically, unless your newsagent guy chases that. After 8 weeks, you'll probably never get it. And obviously, I go down every week. He chases it every week, so that's why it took effectively it took 11 weeks to come. But I'm glad that it's came now. But yeah, he after speaking to him on the phone, because he lets me speak to WH Smith News, they actually said that after the request goes in on their system, and then it stays on their system for 8 weeks. After 8 weeks, if it hasn't been fulfilled, it gets deleted off. It's apparently part of their system. So in order for it to work, they have to continuously update it. So it might be worth, if you're looking for a back order, it might be worth just chasing it, continuously chasing it, making sure that they call up. So that's something I didn't know, but I thought I'd let everybody else know. But I'm really over the moon with that, because I only see issue, I think it was issue 21 on eBay, and they wanted £15 for it. And that's only cost me a tenner. So I'm quite glad that I left it. I knew I would get it eventually. They are normally very, very good with the back orders. It's worth noting, like I said, my brother ordered an issue 5 of the Warhammer Imperium, and they're on issue, I think they're not on issue 27. Issue 5 came this week, and that only happened because we kept obviously asking about it. So I wonder if they just got them. I'll look, just send them it. But yeah, Mark, it's okay. I'll let you enjoy the Terminator without worrying about batteries. Yeah, I'll tell you what, it works so much better without the batteries. The eyes and the jaw, now they didn't work very well when the batteries were on, but they work perfectly. I thought the eyes didn't move at all. I thought there was a problem. Since installing the power mod, it's moved perfectly. I haven't had an issue with it. And yeah, like I said, it's been on near enough all day. Obviously, we turn it off at night, but it's been, I turn it on in the morning and it gets left on all day. So yeah, it's perfect. Thank you again for sending me that. It's absolutely perfect. Hi, Crafty Chris. How's it all going? And Ian Campbell, the man himself, is here. Hi, Ian. Yeah, so I was evening, Ian. Evening, Mark. I was on Mark's video and they were talking about Spitfire, so I wanted to touch up on that. There's a few things. Now, obviously, Spitfire has become this sort of it's bad. Let's just put it that way. Now, I think I said on the stream that I've got some things to say about it. So what I'm going to say is this one, I don't think this is the first model we've had issues with. It's probably the first model we've had big issues with, but it definitely ain't going to be the last. There's a couple of reasons why this happens. One, because when they do these, you can go right back actually to the Millennium Falcon, the Terminator, the DeLorean, all are the same, right? All of them. So they're all the same. Now, the reason for this is because when they, obviously, when they build these prototypes, I mean, World of Wayne can back me up on this. So they do a prototype. Now, the prototype is always in plastic, always, because it's 3D printed. So it's always in plastic. The circuits boards they put in these are really simple. Very, very simple. The ones that we get in the build are more complex, but also are they're very cheap. They're basic. So they do a 3D print. They take it all around. They show the investors. They show all the people, look what we can build. You will go, yeah. And you can see this as well with Agora. Agora had the fire truck and the Cobra as well. Both of them, the prototypes were both 3D printed. All of it, all the whole piece was 3D printed. The wheels, right down to the wheels, everything. It's all 3D printed. Now, when they go into full production, that is the first time that us and them see how it turns out. So basically what happens is they get the model and then they break it down into the part components, and then they choose which bits are going to be die cast and which bits aren't. And that is why it goes in. This is why we had problems with the Terminator, the Spitfire. In fact, I was talking to someone, I can't remember who it was. I don't think there's ever been a part work that has been 100% perfect. 100% perfect. 100% perfect. Never, you know what I mean? I've never done a part work, and I've been doing these for over 10 years now. There's never been a part work that's been 100%. Like, the parts fit perfectly. The screws fit perfect. I've never come across it ever. Also, as well, the part works are I hope people agree with me. This part works are over engineered. They're overly complicated than they need to be. I understand why that is, but I think they're over complicated. They're over engineered. Enterprise D is a perfect example of this. It's just over engineered. A lot of the part works are. So that's another reason as well. Like I said though, when the Spitfire came, obviously what's happened there is they've had the 3D print version. They've gone, oh, that's just good. We'll choose certain sections to be die cast and yada yada. The problem is when it then goes into production, they build it the same time we do. In fact, in some cases, we might be ahead of the actual company, which is really bad, but that's how it works. What's happened, I think, there is they've gotten the packs up to that point and then gone, oh my God, it's not going to work. The same thing happened with the finger mods and stuff like that. There's loads of things I can pick out of my head right now that were a nightmare, and that was the hinges on the DeLorean, the fingers on the Terminator. What else? There's got to be more. Come on. Any engine, in fact, any engine to any part car is just over, I think, overcomplicated. There's wires. I understand why it's got to be like that. I understand why they're over-engineered, but it is unnecessary. Mark's just put there, I'll go through this thingy in a minute, but he put the Millennium Falcon. The Millennium Falcon was okay, but I did find the cargo area, or the sort of the inside area, was unnecessary. And also as well, I found it was a bit complicated with the cockpit as well. The majority of stuff actually fitted pretty well. But once again, the electrics on that, not very good. The electrics on the Routemaster, not very good. Electrics on the DeLorean, not very good. Also as well, you can see as well, now obviously they have a budget for each build. I understand that. So that's why we sometimes get, sometimes they cheap out, as we would say, on stuff. The EL wire on the DeLorean as well was another one. The actual siren for the spinning action on the Ecto-1. But not only that, we had the problems with the decal on the door. I think there was also interior problems as well. So I think when you break stuff down, the Bismarck was one of those ones as well. Once again, there was problems with the panel lines. There was electric problems. Wayne had a few electric problems that you had to go in and sort out. So no build is 100% perfect. But the problem, like I said, with the Spitfire is that they've gotten the packs just like we have. They found there's a problem, and now they've gone, so how do we fix this problem? And they've had to strip it back down. In order to do that, if you've ever done a strip down of the model and then redoing it, what happens is you thread screws. Sometimes when a lot of the screws as well, when you push the screws in, they're not threaded in the hole. So when you screw in, they're actually threading it for you, if you know what I mean. So when you unthread it, it damages the connector, the connection. I think they've then gone, oh, this works, and it's worked on theirs. But then when they've producing it or giving it out to lots of people, it then hasn't. I know the amount of problems, but I also know this one isn't going to be the last of the problems. Ecto-1's having a problem as we speak. Yeah, I just think they're just part of it's just over-engineered. There's no need to be. But yeah, you have to realize that when the prototypes come out, and a lot of people say it as well, they say, well, surely they would have found this problem out sooner. Nope, because when they build the prototypes, they're basic plastic. Some of them don't even have electrics in. The Enterprise D, I think they built 4 different prototypes, all plastic, all non-detachable. Some of them had electrics in, some of them didn't. This is the reason they did this as well. One, because they wanted to get the paint application down. Once again, that's another thing as well, because when they do these paint applications, it turns out different on die cast over plastic, and they have to re-engineer this. Also as well, they use cheap, very, very cheap electrics. It's another problem that they have. Like I said, on my DeLorean, a lot of electrics don't. My Back to the Future, my DeLorean, my Millennium Falcon, both of them have electrical problems. My Routemaster, another one I didn't bother with the electrics with. The Terminator, the electrics are working fine, perfect. But then we had the problem with the wrist joint, the fingers. It's just, you know what I mean? Like I said, I've never come across a part work that has been 100% all the way through. That you've not needed to sort of change something or do something with. The electrics for the Disney Dollhouse are basic. So it's just like light fitting. Obviously, I always said this as well, that you're going to you'll incur more problems. The R2-D2 is one of them. I know there's lots of people that had problems with the batteries. Lots of people had problems with connectivity. Lots of people have problems with the lightsaber not working or something not working on it properly. And I said this when I was building it. I said the more electrics that you add to a build, the more problems you will get. Yeah, we've got the original Mustang that we built from D'Agostini. Once again, that wasn't perfect either. There was a lot of problems with that, especially on the interior with the seat belts and stuff like that. And it had problems with the suspension as well. Once again, that wasn't die cast; it was plastic. It was plastic onto die cast, and what you had was it was at a stress point. So obviously, some of them failed because they were using on the suspension system all plastic. But the electrics work perfect. Why? Because there's only 3 electrics. There's the noise, the headlights, the horn. That's it. You can't really go wrong with that. But when you start adding in 2 circuit boards, 3 circuit boards, everything going in, not only does it create more of a headache, but it creates more of a problem later on, especially, like I said, the Millennium Falcon. I think the Enterprise is going to suffer from it as well, where you're going to get some bits that work, some bits that don't, bits fail over time. Then it's trying to get those bits back again and stuff like that. So they're just over-engineered. And yeah, you're never going to get a build. This is a reason, like I said, when they do the prototype and then we get the problems and then we tell them, it takes a while for them to sort out. But also because they haven't built the actual physical model themselves. Everything that they've done is die cast. So I'm going to get back to the chat. Jay, just filmed another 4 issues of the Citroen. Nice one. So that's 8 on the bounce now. I'm waiting for the next delivery. Yeah, so I've done all my uploading's done now. So I've got all my Dodge Charger loaded, all my Alien build loaded. They should be on Patreon by Tuesday, all of them. So you can all catch them. The Dodge Charger should be up on my channel all up to issue 31 by Thursday, and then obviously Thursday I'll do issue 32. So I should be up to speed on them. But yeah, these Citroens come along really nice. Their suspension system's really good. You know, the hydraulic suspension and stuff like that is really, really good. Yorkshire Crafter there, also saying to hi Kirst as well. There's a wife. Agora E-Type was 3D printed too, but you'd never know looking at it. Yeah, exactly. All prototypes are all 3D printed first. The reason they do this is so they can look at it and go, look what we can build. It's good for investors. So if anyone's like investing in a company, especially when they do like the film models like the Terminator and the Harry Potter train and things like that, they can then take it to the company and say, look, this is what we want to build. Give us the license, please. It's very good. But yeah, normally I've never known a company to do a prototype where it's the actual one we're building. So yeah, it's got the die cast bits, all the little screws. You'll find that a lot of the time it's very, you know, I think the arm of the Terminator was 1 or 2 screws in it, the top and the bottom, where it was all 3D printed. Obviously the bicep was die cast and the pistons weren't plastic, they're die cast as well. So like I said, they build them in 3D and then they decide after they've been given the green light what bits are going to be die cast, and then they break it down and then they look at it and go, well, this bit, we could squeeze this bit in here and you can screw that bit. Like I said, there's a lot of stuff, especially in the DeLorean and things like that, any car build actually, where you put stuff in it and then you'll never see it ever again, especially with the engine bay. And it's a bit like, well, why have I done that? Especially with DeLorean. Like I said, the DeLorean's a special one because the engine's obviously out the back, but you have the cover and then you have the reactor on top of that, which has all got wires on as well. So in order to have a look at the engine, you have to take the reactor off while all the little minding everything as well, then lift up it's never going to happen. And the engine's quite detailed, but once again, you're never going to see it. Just over engineered. But yeah, the Millennium Falcon was perfect. 98%, I would say it was perfect. Like I said, there was a few hiccups with it going along. Trying to squeeze the 2 halves together was a bit of a nightmare as well. And then you had to screw the bits together, didn't you? The top section, and then you had to put the side panels, glue the side panels around. That was a bit tricky. But like I said, the cockpit with the sticks and the chairs and all that, that was a bit of a nightmare as well. And the interior with I mean, I remember doing the interior and the cockpit very, very early on, probably like around issue 1 to 20. And yeah, and then you had the little decal bits as well, little gibble bits that you had to put on as well. But like I said, I'll tell you what was the most annoying thing on that build, and I hope you agree with me, Mark, on this. It was the landing ramp, the ramp that came up and down. I don't think mine ever worked. I think I got it working once, but the hinges, there were little plastic hinges at the end, and I think I glued mine in the end, but there was a little pin that went through to hold it, and they were just a nightmare, absolute nightmare. Yeah, there was a lot of cursing. But yeah, coming back, that was a long time ago I've done that bit, a long time. But yeah, it was a good build. But even Wayne, I think even Wayne has mentioned on this channel that if he'd done the Millennium Falcon again, there's a lot of things he would have done differently or better. So, it'd be easier to do another build smart, not a problem during the full build. Did I have? Yeah, I think that once again, it was another one where it had a lot of little problems cropping up, but I think overall it was quite good. The Millennium Falcon was like that as well. Overall, it was quite a good build and very good, but there was little bits on it that, yeah, that when building it, I think you could have changed. Holix, I wouldn't have minded if the cable worked, but that was definitely a replacement job. Yeah, I know. There's I've been following John's military models on that, and yeah, it's just, I know he said he's moving away now from Partworks. And I'm surprised he's done them because, like I said, when I was talking to people in the model shops and the modelling community as a whole, they really, really stay clear of Partworks. Sort of shunned, really, by the modelling community just because inaccuracy and stuff like that. Yeah. But, yeah, it's been a bloody nightmare, to be fair. Then for me, lifter to fail and smash the prop, that was a serious issue for me. Waiting on issues 1 to 6 to fix it. Yeah, exactly. You know, that's the problem. When you strip these down, you rebuild it again, you think the part that they've given you is better, but it's not. That I found with the finger mod on the Terminator, though they replaced it and they were very good to replace it. I found, and I think a lot of people have found as well, that it wasn't as good as it should have been. There was ways to make it. I think Model Mods did a mod where they used a screw, which was a much better problem, which they could have done. Once again, it comes down to budget for these Partworks. So though we go, oh my God, you could have put a better circuit board in there, it would have cost more. I think that came up actually with the DeLorean build. I think Eagle Moss said, would you have paid more money each issue if we made the circuits better? Or if we made something better, we upped the price of the build, would you have been willing to pay that? You know? And I remember back then they were like, I think it was $8.99. I think if they pushed it further and further, it was to push some people not doing it. It's funny because the builds have all gone up in price anyway now. But yeah, I think it's when you disassemble and reassemble, you know. I agree. However, I go for the ones picked with electrics. That's the selling point for me. But I know when it comes to issues, like my R2D2, Rootmaster and Spitfire electrics are spot on. My R2D2, it's temperamental, let's say. I absolutely love it. I love the hologram bit on it. I think that's really good. The Agostini are normally very, very good for their electrics. They did Robbie the Robot as well, which is one of the, it's an old build, but it's one that I would love them to redo. It's exactly the same as the Eagle Moss 3D printer, another one that they've not re-released, and I think would do really, really good now. But Robbie the Robot was a big interactive robot, and it got itself up and it would dance, and it was like one of these proper interactive sort of robot. It was really cool. If you go on YouTube and have a look at it, it was called Robbie the Robot, and it was years ago, but it was one of these ones where it could sit itself down, and it had joints. It had like multiple joints on it, so it could dance and move, and it could get itself up, and it could interact with you. So you could ask it questions and tell it to do stuff, and it would do it. It's just one that they've never re-released. So, but normally, in terms of electric, normally they're very cheap and don't last very long. Like I said, the more complicated they make the electrics, the more problems they incur. That's what I tend to find. Typing a Routemaster remote for it. Yeah. I think the Routemaster would have benefited from a remote, especially some of the buttons were in the driver's compartment, and once you stuck the chair in it was fine, but it's when you stuck the driver in there, I think that's when it became, especially if you have chubby fingers like me, trying to push the buttons in there. Obviously my electrics never worked, but you could definitely tell that there was a problem there, if you know what I mean. The T800 riddled with issues. Yeah, exactly. Like I said though, like they build these in 3D print, them in plastic. They look really good. Then the issues start occurring when they start saying, so the piston would have been built. I think even Wayne saw it on his channel. So take the leg pistons. So there's 2 leg pistons, but they would have been 3D printed as a single piece on the prototype. But when we come to build it, it was in 4 parts and it used 3 screws. So one at the top, one in the middle and the hinge part, and then one again at the bottom on just the one piston, and then you had the other one on the back. So like I said, that was unnecessary, I think. Over-engineered. Here we go, over-engineered again. But yeah, the Terminator, like I said, I'm going to say it again because I keep saying it. I have never come across a part work where there hasn't been a big or a small issue in it. There's always something that goes wrong or falls off or something where you go, really? The wing mirror, there was another thing as well. So with the DeLorean, we had the rear view mirror in the DeLorean, and that was another thing. So if you don't know the story over the DeLorean, so the DeLorean part work from Eaglemoss is based on a replica of the film one. So a replica that they've gotten and then 3D printed it and then gone with it. There's a few things you can tell why this is not the car from the film and not the actual car that they used, but it's not even the one that they reconditioned and rebuilt for the museum. This is one that's a street one that they use and they take to shows. So there's a few reasons you can tell this. Firstly, it has the rear view mirror, the gearbox on it. So the gearbox on the original cars are manual, but on the show car that they took around places and the one it's based on, which is our model's based on, was an automatic. This is the problem that they had when they redone it originally, and then lots of people complained and said it should be a manual gearbox, not an automatic gearbox. I didn't see an issue in that because I won't display mine upside down there. And also on the driver's seat, now if you pull the driver's seat forward, you'll see a little box with loads of switches on and a speaker. And why is that? Because when they take that car on the shows, that plays the theme song and a lot of songs from the show, and that is why it's there. It was never on the original car. It was only on the one they done the 3D print of, and I think they've done the same thing for Ecto 1 as well, which means it's not going to be 100% accurate. So basically, we're building a replica of the car, and I believe that's the same with the Knight Rider as well. So yeah, that's why I think it had a lot of problems as well. It's not screen accurate. My RTT was spot on, but people did have issues because they didn't read the instructions and do the setup properly. There was a lot of problems with that setup. Yeah, I remember when it first came out many moons ago. I remember it was released and it got to issue 100 and they didn't release the app. Do you remember to get the majority of the functions on it, we had to activate it with the app, and they didn't release the app. I remember the app wasn't released for about 2 or 3 weeks after the build had finished. Why? Because I hadn't finished it. But yeah, I think there was a lot of problems with that. A lot of people did have problems. The setup was really good. But I think there was a lot of internal problems. Like I said, a lot of people had problems with the lightsaber and the sensors. The sensors as well, I think even for mine, they're very hit and miss. It also doesn't help that one of the sensors is behind a grid. So it's obviously going to be detecting those grid marks as well. But anyway, I prefer using it through the app, but I did enjoy that build. But yeah, getting the dome on was a bit of a night because you had to get the dome, you had to fit all the wires, then slide the dome on. And I know a lot of people also had the problem with the dome catching as well. When it spun round, it sometimes caught. So the head, to activate it, to sync it, the head turns all the way around and then back round. But I know a lot of people had problems with the head getting caught up or nicked or something like that. But thank you to Ian, Fix the T800. There's always fixes out there, always. Yes, I added buttons on the base for it. Now I want to go down the route, the remote control advantage, just waiting for the IC chip to make up. I'm doing a live show on Wednesday night. Go and catch Horlicks for that. On the build code and test for the remote, is it, for the Route Master? I know a lot of people said, "Oh, we put it in the case," and then the problem occurred of how we're going to turn it all on when it's under a case. A lot of these builds actually come with like the cases to put them in, and then you kind of think, well, how am I going to activate this now? I have to take that off, push the buttons, then put it back up. Like I said, there's also something that I want to say as well, because this is really cropped up. I'll just get to Ian's. T800 looks like it's 10 rounds with Tyson. It's had everything tested on it. I know it's quite a few parts at the moment. Yeah, I mean, mine's there, but I've now incurred a problem with my wrist on mine. It's on one of them's very limp. I don't know what he's been doing. He's got a very limp arm, wrist. It's like that. I don't know what he's been doing. But yeah, some of the pipes kept coming out as well. The ones near the head came out, and they've had to be put back in. But like I said, especially with my alien build, once it's done, I think I'm going to leave it. Not touch it. Just don't touch it. I want to actually point out now. A lot of people have finished the Iron Man build in France, and something that has occurred over there that is becoming a major problem, and that is it can't stand up. A lot of people have had problems with standing it, though it does come with a stand that holds it. A lot of people have had major problems with the legs. They've referred to it as spaghetti legs, but I thought this was like an isolated incident, but actually lots and lots of people have been reporting the same problem with the Iron Man, in that the leg joints are massively loose, and because the top part is also die cast at some points, it's top heavy and the legs can't support it. So a lot of people have been displaying it on the display, but even then they've been finding it very, very, very hard to keep it upright. It just doesn't seem to want to stand. They've said that the problem with the Iron Man is obviously the looseness of the joints. Some people in France have come up with a little fix to go in the knee and in the wrists as well. It's a little 3D print. It's a little tiny block about this big that some people have 3D printed, and it goes in and supports the knee a lot better. But a lot of people have said they haven't had that problem with the RoboCop. They seem to have sort of fixed that problem. It seems a lot more stiffer. But yeah, a lot of people, I don't know how far people are at finishing it, but a lot of people have said that they have had problems displaying it, especially with its arm up as well, like this. A lot of people have resorted to doing the superhero pose. So if you don't know what the superhero pose, it's obviously where they're falling on the floor. They've got one leg bent behind them like this, and they're sort of fist on the floor as well. A lot of people are resorting to doing that sort of pose for it, because they can't stand it, and it's become a very it's become a problem, a sort of a widespread problem with it. If you go on any of the French groups, you will see a lot of people saying, how do you stand it? A lot of people have had problems. Someone standing it with its legs wide apart and said that's the best that they could get it to stand on its own. Though, like I said, it does come with a stand. Like I said, a lot of people have been having problems with that as well. So, yeah. Ian, I've seen that in your workshop. Do you know anyone that does fixes for it? Lol. I'm still looking around, but I did stumble across a company called Partwork Upgrades. Yeah, I've come across them as well. They seem to do really good stuff on that site. Yeah, never heard of them. Yeah, so yeah, that's a problem to come out. Also, as well, the Infinity Gauntlet has now been released. I think subscribers have already got their stuff, issues 1 and 2. I think it comes out in the newsagents. I think at the end of this month. I think it's got another 2 weeks before it's out in the newsagents. Then it's on the site. I might have built it, but I need to. Like I said, I'm maxed out on Partworks now, so I need sort of ones to finish now. But I, if it does come to the UK, I might do it then. I might still do it if one of these finishes and I can buy some issues. It's worth noting that anyone who wants any Iron Man issues, they are all on the French the French newsagent site. So I think they've actually got issues 1 to 100 or 101 now on their site. So if you need any issue for the Iron Man, that's your spot to go. They're all on there. I had a look the other day, and I think all of them, I think actually the majority of them were all in stock. So it looks like they've had a big sort of stuff. But it does, I tell you what, the what I've seen of the Infinity Gauntlet, it does look really, really good. I don't know how they're going to stretch it to 100 issues. I think a few people have said. I think also is where it's going to suffer from panel lines. I think that's going to be a problem as well. Though the die-cast pieces are very intricate, like they've got these really fancy patterns on them. It looks really good. I've got to say, it looks really good. But yeah, you can never have too many Partworks. Yeah, you can. Good ones anyway. But yeah, so that is. I think I'm done this to have a drink, and did lid back up. Nice to have all the Partworks. It would be nice, yeah. Like I said to you before, though, with Partworks, it has to excite me enough to do it. I have to be sort of a fan of it as well. The Infinity Gauntlet's one of them, but also it comes down to space. You know, it's one of my my little sort of sayings. You know, price, space, interest, all those sort of things that I have to go through first before doing it. Now, the Infinity Gauntlet does interest me. It is something that I would do. But it's one of those ones. There's a lot of cool Partworks coming out, or they've tested. The Optimus Prime, for instance, I'd love to do that. The Tumbler, the Batman as well. Love to do any of them. But it's you know, it's sort of getting them. I'd love to do all of them. It's time, money, space. Where am I going to put all this stuff as well? So at the moment, I'm maxed out on Partworks. I'm very focused on the Alien and the RoboCop build at the minute. So, and the Alien is coming up for issue 60 soon. So that's trundling along. So I'll be doing another order that's in a couple of in about a month's time, and get a load more and carry on with that. But I have been finding it very good. But once again, that has got problems, major problems. But yeah, I'd like to say I think Partworks are just over-engineered, and yeah, they just use cheap stuff. Even some of the die-cast pieces, I think people have come across where they've still got mold nicks on them and stuff like that. It happens. It happens. One thing I will say, the old Disney Dollhouse, it doesn't come with any die-cast, and it's about 99% wood. And I don't know. I don't really have any major problems with that. I think it's solid, but it's a build that's been out before. It's not a brand new build. It's a re-release, which they've now extended. So originally it was just the normal 120 issues. Now they've just extended it to 200 issues over in Japan. That's definitely coming out over here. So yeah, I've never known a partwork to have an extension of 80 issues, and those 80 issues turn the house into a Christmas house. So an extra 80 issues is an extra £800. So the build is going to be over £2,000 to build, and it also pushes it an extra year and a bit. So it will finish, if you do the extension up to issue 200, it will finish 2026. Yeah, about the first couple of I would imagine in the middle of that year, 2026. We're only in 2022. It's kind of mind-boggling when you think about it. You're like, I'm going to be building this. So yeah, it's, I mean, it's just, yeah, it just pushes it, doesn't it? Just, I won't be doing that. So if anyone's watching my Disney Dollhouse build, I won't be doing that. But Kirsty said there's ways of Christmasing up for a lot cheaper. So we're at the end of the build, we're going to Christmas it up our own way. There's a lot of Dollhouse Christmas bits you can buy in that scale, and you won't need to pay £800 extra, or an extra year and a bit. I've never known it. That's really a long time. And even in Japan, they've not finished the build yet. I think they're on issue 115 or something like that. So they've not even started the extra bit either yet. So it's just, it's just mind blowing. Like I said, I've done part works. There's lots of different types of part works as well. I might say there's the part works we build, but then there's the part works like the Enterprise ships. And obviously Fahrenheit had just released the Star Wars one. That is also classed as a part work. Anything that you get parts or a figure or a ship or anything like that each week or a couple of months or whatever is classed as a part work. And that includes books as well. Anything that you collect parts in to build a collection is classed as a part work. But when we talk about it, we're talking about the sort of build part works. But they're all classed as part work sort of thing. That's madness. It is madness. Yeah. Another reason why I think 120 issues. Yeah. Also as well, I think I'm doing a video this week on the Disney Dollhouse because a lot of people have been getting confused about it because it's brought a lot of people into the part work sort of umbrella that have never done part works before. It's quite good because it's saying it's getting people that have never built part works before. It's getting them interested in it. But once again, a lot of people don't understand how part works work. So I'm going to do a video on the Disney Dollhouse on break down some of the bits on how it works and how stuff like that. A lot of people are getting frustrated over people that collect from newsagents like myself, over subscribers. As you know, if you do that with Hachette, you tend to be finished before subscribers do. It's always been like that. Always. I've never known it any different. And in fact, Eaglemoss, when they were releasing in the shops, I believe we're the only company that when you subscribed, you were getting them before the newsagents. That's the only company I've ever known that does that. Yeah, D'Agostini and Hachette never did. They always released it. Whoever clicked from the newsagents always finished their models first over people that subscribed. It's just the way it is. I don't know why that happens. I think one of the reasons is because a lot of people get confused. So when you subscribe to these part works, you get 4 parts a month, not 4 parts every 4 weeks. You get 4 parts a month. And obviously some months there are 5 weeks. So that is another reason why newsagents tend to be ahead. I think on the Disney Dollhouse, I think we're already 1 or 2 issues ahead now over subscribers. Like I said, that's because if you've done lots of partworks, which lots of you have, you will know that you get 4 parts a month, not 4 parts every 4 weeks. Eaglemoss, I think, do the 4 parts every 4 weeks, but I think Hachette and D'Agostini do 4 parts a month. And like I said, some months there's 5 weeks. Also, as well, there's delays when getting parcels as well due to things like bank holidays, because that disrupts their warehouse and obviously Royal Mail as well. So that takes longer to process stuff. So that also pushes back. And because you've got some around Christmas time, some we've just had as well, we're going to have a big bank holiday coming up. What is it? Thursday in for the Queen's. What is it? The Queen's Jubilee. What is it now? Platinum Jubilee, is that it? I think that's what it is. You're going to have sort of a 4. I think it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday as a bank holiday, and at Royal Mail, they're not working the Thursday or Friday. They're working Saturdays on normal day, but Saturday is a light. It's not a heavy day on a Saturday. And because we're going to have 2 days with nothing, it's going to be very light. But I would imagine the Monday is going to be horrendous for people at work. So if you work for Royal Mail, yeah, I would try and get Monday off. It's going to be horrendous because I think a lot of people are going to go. Now, I don't know with post offices and stuff like that. I don't know because that's not part of Royal Mail, but I don't know whether they're opening normal on a Saturday or whether they're going to do that as a bank holiday, because it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday and Sunday as a bank holiday. So that's going to disrupt everything. If you especially if you've got stuff coming through Royal Mail, it's going to really affect it, really. And especially with partworks, I don't know if they get sent out, but it's going to push subscribers partwork stuff an extra week, I would imagine, because you got to think they're not going to be working for 4 days, so there's going to be like a 4-day backlog, and I would imagine that everything just gets pushed along 4 days. So yeah, that's one to think about when you're a subscriber and you're getting anything from Hachette. Titanic will most likely be affected by that, so they'll probably be like a week behind getting that. So you may find that you get your parts and then you probably pay and they send out the next parts before you even get your, because they're normally quite good, but that weekend is really going to push them like a week behind, big time. But yeah, it's a nice time, because we're going to go over to, we're going to drink and be merry and everything else. It's a perfect excuse, isn't it? Especially with all the doom and gloom that's going on at the minute. But that is only a couple of weeks away now, isn't it? 3 weeks away until then. I think it's 3 weeks, isn't it? Is it 2? We got this week, next week, and the week after. That's when it's on, isn't it? So what's that week? So I think it's about 2 or 3 weeks. But yeah, it's going to be strange because it's a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday bank holiday. It's going to feel really strange. I don't know how things are going to work, what shops are going to be, if they're going to be open. I know where I work that we are not working, so it's a very short week. So on Monday, my brother's actually booked that off, so he's got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday off. So basically, he doesn't go back to work till Monday. So he's got 3 days off, and then the other 3 days are all bank holidays. So yes. But yeah, going back to the partworks and stuff, and going back to what we were saying about the Spitfire, a lot of people have had that problem. Like I said, I think a lot of people are having now problems with the Iron Man build as well. If you're building the Iron Man, it's just want to point that out and say that there is big problems with the Iron Man build. So just remember that, especially with standing it, because I think you build the arms, the legs separate, then you build the chassis, the torso, and then that's when you stick everything on. And that's when a lot of people are having problems, because like I said, you're not testing it. I think Mark said the same thing actually on his one about the Titanic on his stream tonight. That the smokestacks are going to be individual. So in order for you to sort of get the smoke effect properly, you're going to have to individually take them out, refill each one. I mean, how long do they last as well? I mean, how long does the smoke effect last? You fill it up with water, and then how long does that last? And it's another thing as well. I think a lot of people found it out with a lot of stuff when they go, oh, we can build a better version of that, and obviously it's gonna be a way, but then you don't know where that would sit, or if there's anything underneath the bit you want to put it. So it's one of those waiting games, because you need to wait and see how it's going to all fit together. But no doubt there's one. I'm sure there's a smoke effect, or you can get a smoke effect where it's just a long bar and it's operating all three. But yeah, I mean, it's one of those things, isn't it, where is there a case out for it as well? So if you stick it in a case, I don't think you are going to have a case for it, are you? Because if you use a smoke effect on the case, it's just going to steam the whole thing up. So you'd have to have it out of a case. But then, yeah, like I said, I don't know how long it takes for them to be filled up. So do they last a couple of hours, minutes, days? Also depends on how long you're doing it. Then you have to, like I said, you have to pull them out, feel. There must be some way of doing it where there's a bigger reservoir for you to fill and do all three. I'm sure there's some very, very smart people out there, and I know there is, who will be engineering a new one for that. But yeah, I can see that being, yeah, a bit of a pain. I'm sure actually you could probably put one refill thing on it, one block to refill, and then run 3 smoke leads off it. I'm sure you can. But yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I always, when it comes down to electrics, I always say to myself, how often are you going to use them? When you're going to use them? The Terminator, obviously, it's in my dining room here, so it's going to be on all the time. But ones that are upstairs on my shelf, and my Route Master and the DeLorean and the Mustang, are not going to be used very often. If anyone collects high-end toys like Hot Toys, you will know the same. So we had we used to collect Hot Toys before I sold them all, but I'm going to try and get some again. But we had a lot of Iron Man figures, and they suffer from the same problem. So I think an Iron Man would have 5 switches. You have 1 on the head, 1 on the chest, 2 on the hands, and then I think there was either 1 for the bottom or something like that, like the bottom part. But then to turn them on, you'd have a switch they're normally under panels. So you'd have to take the panel off, switch the arm on, take the other panel off, switch that one on. But the head, you had to sort of take the head off and the front plate, switch it on, then put it all back together. And once again, they run off the cell battery, so they don't last very long. And you can get sort of a wiring loom for the Hot Toys where you can wire it up, and lots of people have done that, and I've wired it into USB, and I've wired it into their mobile phones and things like that. And then it's hiding all the wires. But yeah, it is something like that. The lightsaber one on the Hot Toys is another one. So if you ever have like Luke or Vader, you can light up the lightsaber, but the light function is where he's holding the saber and it comes into his arm. So in order for you to have the lightsaber active, you have to take the whole arm off and put the new one on with the saber on, and then it's wiring it up to be on. Once again, it requires a little push button as well, which you have to get and push a panel on it. And yeah, it's just unnecessary, especially in the world we're living in today with connectivity with phones and stuff like that. It's just, yeah, I can't believe they've not developed one where you don't have to do that. But a lot of companies do that, where you have multiple buttons for multiple sections to light up. I just don't know why. And they're normally done with little buttons, and then they hide the buttons as well. Yeah, the Enterprise is going to be abundance, isn't it, with buttons? So you're going to have 2 on the star drive section, plus the engines, and then I think it's got one for the saucer section. So, you know, once again, you're going to have to click, 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 click all of them off. This is why, you know, the power mods are very good. The one that Mark sent me, excellent. I haven't got a problem with that. You plug it in, turn it on, power mod comes on, and you use the remote to turn it on and off. Perfect. Why can't they all be like that? Why also as well, why haven't all these companies gone, we can provide that and do it as an additional cost at the end? But anyway, look, it's been lovely talking to you all. It's at the end of the day now. Again, once again, thank you all so much for joining me. I'll be back next Sunday as always. We've got loads coming up. We've got Ironman Dodge Charger this week. We've got a few videos of me talking as well if you want to hear me talking. Anyway, look, thank you guys for coming. It's been an absolute wonder to have you here and to talk as well. I've been Kev, and obviously we will see you at the next video. And see you then.